I'll try and keep this as brief as possible. But anyway, I did mention that you are God, but for the most part, most people think that God is like this supernatural thing, which kind of like resides outside of us. And most people actually think that it's a force that acts on us, as if there's any such thing. It's not possible. And I've sort of like gone through the motions and showed, various ways using various methods to actually drive home that fact. So there's something that I wanted us to talk about today, which is the God principle, or the God particle. The letters themselves, God, which, they stand for the generative aspect power of God, or the principle of God, because God has to have those principles. It creates, and it has to be able to operate the creation. And the third thing is it has to be able to destroy the creation. But for the most part, people tend to think that the destruction aspect is something that's done to us. It comes from above to us, which is not true. I'm going to show you that it's actually something that you do every day. So, if we're going to talk about the generative principle, that begins with what I mentioned. And I actually wrote a paper on it, which is I created a new framework, which is essentially the central premise is God is the power behind the eyes, the observing, neutral intelligence that is not bound by polarity. At the same time, it gives rise to all polar experience, whether it's positive, negative, north and south, east to west, masculine, feminine, up, down, black or white, on, off, live or dead, doesn't matter. It's that thing that actually gives rise to that opposite because because of contrast, right? Now, this doctrine also defines God as the neutral origin, I've written a paper on it. You can check on my paper site. That paper site you see is there. And it's expressed through three operative principles, which is generation, operation, and destruction. Now, like I said, the generation aspect is the kind of like straightforward aspect, which is it symbolizes generation, and it's not merely like sexual or biological, but basically what I'm talking about is ontology. It's actually ontological, right? It is the moment a neutral force emerges, and it's almost like, let me try to explain it this way. It emerges from what appears to be the tension between two poles, but I actually posit that it's the reverse. It births itself and it creates the poles. It has both aspects within itself. So whichever direction it decides to go, it has to express through one or the other, right? That's basically it. Like I told you before, magnetism illustrates this very, very clearly. If you split a magnet in two, you don't isolate north or south, You create two poles. There's no singular pole, which means that duality is intrinsic, as opposed to what people have been talking about forever. And my position is that there has to be a third force or energy that holds the polar balance, which is the neutral. I also explained it from the perspective of a simulation or video game or whatever. Once everything is plugged in sort of like flow, there is a neutral observer, a neutral position that holds that whole thing together, because without somebody actually observing and operating the whole thing, nothing's actually happening, believe it or not, is the truth. So that's where the G comes from. I know people think of it in terms of the sex, but it's not. We're actually talking deeper here. We're talking about ontology. Now, in consciousness, we also realize that awareness is not a product of thoughts, which is the masculine, or feelings, which is the feminine, but a silent witness, the neutral observer behind both. So basically, in every instance where polarity exists, neutrality is the hidden constant that makes interaction possible. So neutrality, or the neutral aspect, for want of a better word, I don't have one. I just picked neutral. Okay. But it makes sense. So the neutral birth itself, it spawns itself into being. Using poles. Or the tension between polar opposites. And then expresses itself through that. but it's the very thing that holds it together. Okay. So male or female, between the eyes, we're the same, and we're not even defined by sex. Sex is something that exists only here. Okay. Now, the operating principle, this is the fun bit. So this is the neutrals dance with permutation. So I'm going to tell you something. The neutral is actually not a passive force or energy. Yeah. It's not just sitting there, like you find in something like electricity. It's playful, it's exploratory, and it's experimental. Like I told you, the universe is not deterministic, or the simulation is not deterministic. It is probabilistic, which means what? Which means that everything here is possible. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is your natural state here, which is the neutral, is playful. It wants to explore and it wants to experiment. Yeah. Like I told you before, if you want to actually understand how consciousness actually functions, look at children. Yeah. Young children, toddlers. What are they doing? They're always pushing boundaries. They're trying to get to the next level, level up, trying to walk over there, trying to climb that thing, trying to do that thing. And they don't see anything as an obstacle. Everything is nothing to them. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's only our perspective. We see the lorry. We're like, oh my God, a lorry. Da, 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 da. But they are looking at the game with fresh eyes at that point. Yeah. So they understand what's actually going on. They're not attached to the flesh. Do you get it? Okay, cool. So that's the first aspect. The second thing is you got to realize that I'm going to use the example of a hole-in-one or something like tennis or whatever. Yeah. So you can, there is a probability. Yeah. Because the universe or the reality is not deterministic. It's probabilistic, which means that there is a reality that exists where I go on the golf course and I will hit a hole-in-one on every single hole. Yeah, all 18. I'm gonna fucking bank them. Yeah, like straight up, no left, no right. Yeah, or I can play a game of tennis and I can ace every single shot. Yeah, and stop all shots. It's a probability that exists somewhere. Are we in agreement? Yeah. It's possible that every light can be great for you whilst you're driving. It can be possible that everything could go your way in life. It can be possible that everything could go your way today. It can be possible that anything's possible here, basically. Yeah. Okay. So in that understanding, now let's go back to what I just said. Our natural state is it wants to explore. It wants to, what does it want to do? It wants to explore, it wants to play, it wants to experiment, it wants to level up, yeah? Okay. So with that in mind, right, and we know that clearly, if I got a hole-in-one every single time, what would that do for me? Nothing. It would actually be a meaningless experience. It would be a meaningless experience. Not the first time, because it's a probability it exists, whatever. But let's say every single time I was able to pull that off, life would actually not be very meaningful for me, right? It would be kind of boring. So think about it. In quantum physics, right, we know that particles don't behave predictably, yeah? They exist in probability fields. This also confirms what I just said. Okay. Okay, cool. Now, when observed with the eye, yeah, they collapse. The observer, i.e. the neutral, dictates manifestation, which means that you dictate creation. You dictate the collapse of the quantum field. This is a fact. Okay, cool. Now, going back to the hole-in-one and the metaphor, yeah, for flukes. They are not accidents, yeah? So essentially, it's an expression of divine possibility, which means that it is probable it can happen, yeah? Do you understand? It's possible that everything can go your way today. It's possible that you're playing Monopoly and every single roll of the dice will be 6 or 5 or 3, every single one, yeah? It can be possible that your phone can ring back to back 15 times in the next half an hour. It can happen. It's a probability that exists somewhere, okay? All expressions of divine possibility. Now, let's think about this. Because consciousness seeks novel experiences, experimentation and boundary pushing and all the rest of it, consciousness seems to favor challenge. Yeah, our natural state seems to favor challenge, novelty and mastery over predictability. Is that clear so far? Okay. So then that means that if I went to the golf course and I smashed it all out, after a few times it'll be boring. Because why? It's my natural state to favor a challenge. I want it to be challenging. I want novelty. I want mastery. Yeah. But here's the beautiful thing. You actually create the challenge as well. You also create the novelty. You create mastery because it's all you at the same time. You're just unaware of it. Let me explain. Now, let's say I go to the golf course, 18 holes in one. Yeah. Smashed. I go there again tomorrow. Same again. Play another game. Same again. Play another game. Same again. Play another game. Same again. Now, what will be my natural, what would I seek? Knowing that I seek novelty, I seek mastery, and I seek challenge. I'm going to want something to test me. So I might want to go to a different golf course, right? I might want to play somewhere else. I might want to play in the rain. I might want to play with different irons. I might want to do something different, change a variable, right? But where did that fucking desire for challenge actually come from? And what did it look like? Because it had to come from somewhere. Yes. So that means that in my own inner myself, in the inner sanctum, I thought I needed a challenge, and I knew what that challenge would look like in order to push me in a direction for me to actually attain mastery. True or false? Okay, cool. So again, so that means that once you actually hit the flukes, if you like, yeah, divine probability or possibility, you hit the expressions over and over and over again. You want something different. Yeah. And that something different is something that you actually know yourself. You know what you actually want in order for you to grow in a specific direction. Yeah. So the challenges are not randomized. Yeah. There is no devil. Yeah. There is no fucking circumstances. There's no product of my environment. There's none of that crap. There's you creating challenges in order to make yourself grow. We've just established this, bro. Metaphysically and even using quantum physics. Yeah? Pure facts. Okay. So with that in mind, you gotta realize that even in our creations or our counterpart, yeah, let's call them artificial intelligence models, genetic algorithms, or cellular, the way cells function, or even algorithms in general. Complexity arises from simple rules. Yeah. So, i.e., the neutral engine will create pattern upon pattern upon pattern through permutation, seeking emergence. Do you guys remember when I told you about the emergent point of consciousness and everybody was acting like I wasn't, I wasn't spitting facts, bro? You are trying to emerge here. So you seek challenge in order for you to emerge through mastery. It's clear, bro. It's very, very clear. Do you understand? The world you live in is not a real world, if whatever real world means. It's not a machine. It's a game. And I've told you this. You know, you yourself are the player. Seek to explore all possible plays. And this current life you're in is a possible play. Okay, let me actually go on a sidebar and tell you something really, really crazy. Do you know why, no matter what you do, when you live in ego and you're doing bad things to people or you're being evil to other people, do you know why inadvertently, no matter what happens, you're going to crash? Do you know why that happens? Let me tell you why. Because if you are one thing experiencing yourself through contrast, yeah, through all different avatars, but they're all you, right? All of you, everything is you, but just in different suits, interacting with yourself. Now, let's say I take a knife to a person, yeah? Or I take a gun to a person, or acid to a person, or I harm someone, or hurt them, or do whatever, right? The experiencer, or the observer, yeah? The very thing that experiences the thing is the same thing I have within me, yeah? So ultimately, if we go back to the example of the kid playing with the doll, yeah, and there are two dolls, Barbie and Ken, and they're playing, and Ken is being horrible, and Barbie's being horrible, and they're fighting each other. Yeah, stupid shit. Who's actually experiencing all that shittiness? Because the physical bodies are just gonna be thrown in a box, yeah, and chucked somewhere, never to be seen again. That's your physical body that you're so attached to. So it's the very thing that experiences it. Well, eventually, it's gonna get bored of it because it's not its truth. It's not its natural state. Yeah? So eventually it's going to get bored of it because it's pointless. It doesn't actually expand its expression. or its experience, should I say. Yeah? So inadvertently, that whole illusion will collapse. Think of a character being killed off in a fucking program. That's the same thing. Okay, now let's talk about the destroyer principle. Yeah, we've done Geo, now we're going to talk about D. Yeah, the D principle, which is the realization of non-belonging. And this is a state I've lived in for a few years now. I'm telling you, like, I used to actually travel to places. Like, people that know me will tell you this. I don't actually know where home is. It feels so strange. Like, I've been all over the world. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like, nah, I need to keep going some more because I feel like I need to find that place where home is. But there's a deeper realization that home's not here. And I know that, right? So even on that level, we can even go one step deeper and realize the ultimate truth that matter will always degenerate. Yeah. All systems trend towards entropy. These are facts in your Mickey Mouse world. Okay. Now, the neutral, being of a different origin, does not belong to the realm of decay. It does not decay. It does not age. Nothing happens to it. Nothing can happen to it. Yeah. Because if I'm playing with Barbie and Ken and I'm, and then now Ken's a fucking old man. Yeah. Can becoming an old man happen within a blink of an eye where I truly am? Don't let that go over your head, bro. Do you understand? The body creates waste. It breaks down. It dies. Yeah. You can be in the most perfect shape ever, whatever. Eventually, you would degenerate into nothingness. Yeah. The witness behind the eyes also never ages. Yeah. And even as your identity shifts from character to avatar, yeah, because you're constantly changing avatars, yeah, okay, cool. Your observation remains constant. You are still you at age 6, and you still be you at age 76. There will be something, a common thread that runs through it all, a you-ness about you, yeah? That is the observer. That thing can never age, can never die. Yeah? 1 second, I need to sneeze. Oh, pollen. Oh, is it gonna come or not? Okay, maybe it's not gonna come. So in myth and esoterica, if you like, or esoteric traditions, the phoenix dies to be reborn, yeah? Not to escape death, but to transcend form, because that's what you were doing, yeah? You need the mastery, yeah? You need the experience, you need the novelty in order for you to expand, yeah? And transcend form. You want change. That's what you're doing. You're changing. As you're emerging here, you are changing. The more I emerge here, the more I change. I know this. You understand? But there's still me. Do you understand? So death and decay are not the end of the neutral. Not even close. They're just a signal to depart. Yeah? To reconfigure. Yeah? Or for it to return to source. It's the same thing. Yeah? Same premise, same thing, same conclusion. So as for my doctrine, we're just reframing that God is not a being outside of us, but as the emergent neutral behind our perception. This is a triadic system, yeah? Generation, operation, and destruction. And this also mirrors natural law, ancient symbolism, esoteric traditions, metaphysics, and even emergent physics, right? So yeah, these are just the core movements of it. I'll do some more work on the framework. Guys, at this point, like I said, like, let's just change the whole story, okay? Like, we're actually gonna fucking create frameworks and new things to actually shape thinking itself collectively all across the world. Oh shit, I'm laughing and I'm playing, but so true. You know, that's what we're going for. We're going for the fucking 4-9. So yeah. So yeah, that's it, bro. So the GOD, that's what it is. We told ourselves the code anyway.